I am Geoffrey in Troy Total War. I was going to show you the Agamemnon campaign, but instead I'll show you the Trojan Horse from a Menelaos campaign, because I just got it for the first time. So you get this event. Artisans have completed the horse-headed ship and loaded with glorious gifts in honor of Poseidon. The stratagem is almost ready. Should everything go according to plan, the Trojans will be blinded by greed at the sight of the treasure and will carry the boat inside the city walls. You must now select the proud warriors who will hide within and, come nightfall, sneak out to throw open the mighty gates of Troy. So I don't know why I got this event this time. I don't know if it is because of the new patch, which just became active near sort of mid-February, or whether it was the fact that I got the Palladium and then I went straight and laid siege on Troy. So you see we have some events. Achilles has been hanging around. He has come from Thea. You'll see his army. There are various other events. So Achilles was campaigning and just arrived. So Deiphobus is inside, and here are the various gods, and I'm going to do a hecatomb to Hephaestus. So Hephaestus, Ares, Athena, and Aphrodite are now at the highest tier of worship, or whatever. And then here are Poseidon below, and Zeus and Apollo a little bit further down.
And grant me your favor.
I've done various prayers as well to the top gods, my favorite ones. So Hephaestus is a new option we got in late January, I think. And here's the army of Achilles. You see it has lots of golden chevron units with Hephaestus trick, but Menelaos has the purple trick of Hephaestus that they got with one of those agents you get if you have Hephaestus at top level. Then you can get an agent and he will train your units. They get this purple thing, which makes them extremely tough. They have high defense, high attack, and so on. So Agamemnon is here, Achilles is here, Menelaos. So Agamemnon will take part in the fighting. And then there's also another historical character called Menelaos, but he's not one of the main faction leaders or whatever. But he's very highly experienced, so I brought him along. Odysseus is nearby. Odysseus is here. I had to send him off to fend off some incursions that, some enemy faction was making incursions in our rear while we're laying siege on Troy, so I sent him off to chase them away. So here's Menelaos, a very experienced hero. Here is Menelaos with his fantastic army, Agamemnon and Achilles. And inside they have Deiphobus, as I said, and the garrison. So there has been already a long siege at this point, probably more than 10 game turns.
My reputation endures.
Here are again the
Never
heroes.
cross me.
Beyond compare.
I like the various things they say.
Make them pay.
And you can see the units down below.
Show no fear.
So we get the option of the Trojan Horse. It's actually a ship. And you have to put in 6 favorite units. They're all very good units, so I'm just gonna pick up a few, some small units and then a couple of full units. So I'll put the Cyclops, 2 giant units, of course Menelaos himself, and 2 axe units, I think, one the heaviest ones that I have, or is it club units? I can't remember. The ones at the front, the heaviest ones. And we're at the start. You see we have 6 gods on our side, so that should help. These are the other reinforcing armies, so Agamemnon, Achilles, and Menelaos. The Trojans have Deiphobus, whose name means something like the terror of gods, or the scourge of God, or something like this. And below is the garrison. They're all very depleted from attrition from the long siege. And launched the siege, so let's see what it looks like. So we're attacking with a Trojan ship. And we get this cinematic thing. There is no narration, so I'll do the narration. So at one point the Achaeans were so tired of the long siege, they asked Odysseus, or Odysseus proposed a stratagem. The stratagem involved dedicating a horse, fake horse, to Poseidon, and then pretending they're leaving. Now, Poseidon was not just the god of the sea, but it was also, for some reason, the god of horses and the god of earthquakes. He was known as the Earth Shaker. And here's the ship. Instead of a horse, we get a ship. It's a different interpretation of that myth, so they left a ship rather than a horse. And the Trojans took it inside. And here's Menelaos, and actual, Homer, Menelaos, Odysseus, and a couple of other heroes were hidden inside. So Menelaos is hidden in this side, in this case. And I have some giants. They're going on that side, and some other units are going on the other side. I have no idea what to expect. This is the first time it happened. It's all on the fly. Whatever happens, happens. Now, what I noticed is that I only got Menelaos' army. I did not get the other 3 armies that were waiting outside. Only Menelaos' army, for some reason, went inside. So that's not so good. I would have rather had all 4 armies, but in any case. And so, on the other hand, Menelaos seems to be doing okay. It seems that the Trojan units inside have very low morale, partly because of their long siege. It's been going on for over 10 game turns. And partly because the units have suffered a lot of attrition and so on. And so units are breaking, and there's not a whole lot to say because units have such low morale that the battle was a little bit of a pushover, really. The enemy units were just routing, as you can see. As soon as you come close to them, they rout. They have extremely low morale. So I'm going to say a few things just to sort of commentate on some of the of what is going on around this idea. It's an interesting idea, but it's a shame that you cannot get the reinforcements also to come in. What is going on, if you see behind us, or the front in the background, units are waking up and they're coming down from the citadel one by one, but they have such low morale at this point, they really break. And the battle is at normal difficulty, so the campaign is normal difficulty, this particular one, the battle is normal difficulty, so the difficulty is not really high enough to keep them from routing. And I think playing at normal difficulty may be, in some cases, it may make the battles too easy. I think hard to very hard difficulty is better for battles. Now, this is one strange thing that happens. So though I gave them an order to go inside, they seem to be going around for some reason. They gave all the units an order to go inside, but they don't go inside. They go all around the walls. So that's something to do with, presumably, the pathfinding of the units. I don't know why they cannot find the gate, or what they're trying to do. And there are other units you see on that side, they're also going around the walls on the other side. And I don't really understand why they're doing that. And so that means then that in this particular battle, Menelaos is on his own and various units get stranded. And the enemy has 20 units. None of them is full strength, but they have 20 units. And some of them are decent. In theory, they have decent morale, but I think that morale is just too weak because of the long siege. And so most of the fighting is up to the units that were inside and a couple of fast units that managed to get in on time.
No mercy!
So I have the Cyclops and some giants, but fortunately the enemy is just routing, you know, they're just breaking and routing, they're not fighting really. So it would be worth to do the night battle, not leave it for so late. So in other words, as soon as I laid siege, you know, the next game turn I got the opportunity for this Trojan Horse siege. And if you say no, I don't want the Trojan Horse siege, then you go whatever, you can do something else. If you take, however, the option to do the Trojan Horse siege straight away, then maybe you'll get more challenging battles. So you see these units are just going around like that, and they have been shot from the walls actually while they're doing this. And I don't know why they're going around like that. I didn't tell them to go around. It's just poor pathfinding. You can see there's a unit there. It's the Harpies. They've actually gone outside the wall. They are trying to reach that unit that's broken, but they're going outside the wall instead of going inside Troy, even though the gates are open. It's the pathfinding is not what it should be, unfortunately. But it's a complex map. I kind of understand it can be an issue at times, but you have to be careful. Yeah, basically.
You have captured the enemy tower.
Okay, and some of our units are already gone into the citadel. So what I'm going to do is, okay, I'm trying, you know, every so often you have to tell your units to move, because sometimes, you know, they just stop suddenly for no reason. They stop. I don't know if their target died. I don't think it died, but if the target breaks or whatever, or starts routing or something, then they stop instead of chasing the target. They're not on guard, but they just stop. So you have every so often, and it's very tedious, you have to give them commands, and you cannot actually do any cinematic stuff because you constantly have to be doing this. What was I saying? Yes, so the downside is if you accept to do the Trojan Horse siege early on, like as soon as you lay siege on next game turn, not straight away, you can't do it straight away. But next game turn, it turned out I could do it after laying siege. Then you're going to have 40 units, 40 enemy units, probably full strength. And you are only going to have 20 units of your own. And the 40 enemy units are going to have low morale, but half of them are triple golden chevroned. So, you know, it's not going to be easy. Okay, so it's you have to make a decision. The other thing I was thinking is that this is a normal difficulty, and maybe if you play at a hard difficulty, this siege may be harder. Yeah. So these are two things to make the siege harder. Well, you know, as a player, if you want to make it challenging for yourself. You know, don't wait for 10 or 12 game turns. Just take the opportunity as soon as possible, and then play on hard difficulty or veteran, very hard difficulty. Because at this level, as you can see, I'm not doing a whole lot. Basically, the enemy units are routing. You see, they're all routing. They're not doing anything. So what I'm going to do then is I'm going to do this. This also, I'm going to do another video clip, and I'm going to go back a few game turns and repeat the battle at the very beginning of the siege.
Victory is close enough to taste.
All enemies are about to break. As you see, the yellow bit in the bar, the strength balance, battle balance is very yellow now. It's mostly yellow. So I'm going to repeat this battle, but rather than wait for 10 or 12 game turns, I'll just take Trojan Ship option straight away. Okay, everybody's routed now, I think. And you have units into the Palace Plaza. You can see the palace behind.
Where's the battle?
Where's the enemy? They're just running away. Okay.
You will soon hold the enemy's victory point.
It's over. Okay, so all the Trojan units have been routed. They hardly fought at all.
You have lost a victory point.
Okay, there's not a whole lot more to see from this battle. As I said, I'm going to repeat the battle. First, I'm going to do the standard siege. Yeah, I will not go back into a save. I'll just go back out and restart the battle But rather than fight with the Trojan ship, just fight a normal battle so I can have all 4 armies. And then in a later episode, I'm going to do it at the beginning of the siege to see how it compares. Because here there was nothing to see, basically. The enemy units were just routing. And I find it very frustrating that every so often you're giving them orders to chase a unit. And very often the unit is still there, but they stop chasing it. And I don't know why they stop doing it. Is it pathfinding? But they suddenly just stop even though they're giving them an order to chase a unit. And you have to give the order again, then maybe they don't start, they have to give it again. But it has something to do with pathfinding, I suppose. And I had some units that, you know, got very depleted. I think one of the giant units got very depleted. No, not so depleted.
This is it. Sons of Achaia!
Basically, the Trojans did not do that. Fighting. And I'm sure there's no more to see. So I'm going to do today this battle, and then right after this I'm going to do the same siege at the same point where I left it, but not with a Trojan ship or Trojan horse. I'll just do the normal siege. Unfortunately, what happened is that the you know, although I had given some instructions to build siege rams, they were not built for some reason, because I was being offered this option to do the Trojan Horse siege, and I wasn't rejecting it. I was just saying, okay, next game turn. No equipment was being built, even though I had originally given instructions for equipment to be built, like siege rams and siege towers and so on. Nothing was built. It's a bit of a shame. But I'll do that siege anyway, just with... Okay, we'll kill down the enemy generals. I'll do that siege just with the siege ladders. That's what it's going to be. And then on a later episode, I'm going to do the same siege with the same campaign, normal difficulty. But at the beginning of the siege, I will not wait for the game turn, for 10 game turns or so. And then part of the reason I was waiting was I was waiting for Achilles to come from Thea, because he had been fighting there, various, you know, Doric, whatever, Greeks and others. And so I was waiting for him to finish that all up. So I was waiting for him and I couldn't start. But since only one army attacks and the Trojan Horse siege, then I'll just... It doesn't matter, Achilles has not arrived. And so I'll do that in a future episode. And then after I've done these episodes, then I'll do the Agamemnon campaign, Siege of Troy, which is the final episode of the Agamemnon campaign. And that campaign is on a hard difficulty, but I also waited for at least 10 game turns. So the morale of the enemy units is still low, but it's a proper siege on hard difficulty. So we can make some comparisons and see how these various sieges compare. So this is going to be a long episode because it's going to have 2 sieges. Nearly finished this battle. Giants. And one of the frustrating things about this game, which we didn't have in Medieval 2 as far as I could remember. Basically, most of the siege is about chasing after routed units. There was some routing in Medieval 2, but it was rare in sieges. Units just fought and died. They weren't routing, you know. And so you had to fight them to the end. I mean, they would rout occasionally, then they'd go to the plaza and rally again, and they'll fight. But here, they get routed and then they start running around randomly, and then you're chasing some routed units. So you spend like the whole battle chasing routed units, like for 15 minutes or something. I'm chasing routed units. And battles in general are very short in Troy Total War. I mean, the actual fighting takes no more than 90 seconds, sometimes takes 60 seconds or less. And the rest of the battle is deploying, moving towards the enemy lines, and then there's like 60 seconds of fighting, and then you're chasing after the router units. Anyway, so here's Menelaos in front of the palace of King Priam. And he's made it first. He is here first. He's celebrating his victory. So you have to wait for a few more units. But they're chasing the routed Trojans. When you zoom in, you press N to zoom in, then there's no sound. It's a bit unfortunate. I don't know why there's no sound, but there isn't. So if you zoom out, then the sound comes back. This is what's going on here. Now I zoom back in and the sound is gone.
All hail the big foe!
Okay. So I put some units here just to celebrate the victory. I've got also the another Minotaur, the Cyclops.
Yeah! I'm proud.
Okay. So that was the end of the Trojan Horse or Trojan Ship siege. Let's see how it went. So we deployed just Menelaos' army. We lost 229 men, and basically the two enemy armies were weaker, and they were both destroyed. It was the garrison of the army of Deiphobus. A close victory? I don't think so. Okay, so the results again. And I'll probably, what is that? Should I sack? Well, sack of Troy, I guess. Might as well sack. Okay.
A welcome
After sacking, you're kicked out. The settlement returns back to its owner, which I find a bit strange. Anyway.
Achilles the
Okay,
champion.
so we can go back in and take it.
A well-placed blade can avert a war. I enjoy a challenge.
Menelaos of Sparta.
The other downside is that if you fight a battle without reinforcements, only that one army, in this case Menelaos, gets buffs. So, okay.
Occupy this place.
Minus 20 to diplomatic relations with the Trojans and various ancillaries. Faction destroyed Troy. So we're in game turn 126. In this case I went straight for Troy. I ignored Lycia, although Lycia was an antagonist in this campaign.
Make them pay.
So here's, I'm going to do it the traditional way, without the Trojan Horse. So I rejected the option of the Trojan Horse, and I had the option to go in. And although I had ordered 6 siege rams to be made, as you saw there, none of them had been made, although I've been waiting for over 10 game turns. And you have to reject the option of the Trojan Horse for your equipment to start being constructed. Unfortunately, I didn't know that. That's a lesson learned. So now we're going to have the battle with four armies, so 3 reinforcing armies, Achilles, Agamemnon, and Demolion. Unfortunately, you don't get all 80 units. You only get about 60 units, something like that. So you get from the reinforcing armies only some of the units. But at least you get like the heaviest units. You don't get archers and horsemen. Horsemen might have been useful for chasing down the router units because it's mostly routing involved. But anyway, so So everyone is going to go for the walls and put ladders. It's a little bit faster to go with siege towers. It's a bit slower to go up ladders, but possible. And then the 2 units of giants.
Foe has sighted your hidden units.
Okay, no big deal. The 2 units of giants, Cyclops and Menelaos will go and tear down one of the gates. Just bang on it until it comes down. It's a bit weird. Anyway. So here are the 2 units of giants and the Cyclops, and somewhere, not yet maybe,
Your warriors are attacking the gates.
Menelaos is also coming. And they start banging on the door. Oh, Menelaos is already there. It's a funny way to try to break it all. Anyway.
One of your units has no more ammunition.
Okay, we'll see a little bit of this because it's a little bit entertaining, but I want to show you the whole thing. So let's look at what the other units are doing. They're setting up ladders. They're going to go up the walls with their ladders, or using the ladders. And there are more ladders going up. And here's the first fighting on the wall, the fastest units to get in with these fast flankers. So we're the first to get onto the walls. And then there's also a heavy axe or club unit that's going up.
We're about to capture the gates.
Okay, and now we've torn down the gates. And a couple of units have moved out just in time, so everyone's going in. So we're still about 10 to 12 game turns after the siege started. And as you will see, the enemy units have
The enemy tower.
extremely low morale. Maybe not as low as they had during the night siege, but both their generals routed straight away. They were on this side, and both of them just routed as soon as the units started coming in. And here's Achilles. It's from the actual battle, from scenes of the actual battle, but I've selected a few scenes. Okay, one of the enemy generals has been killed or wounded. Achilles is flying through the air. And here, all these units are Trojan. As soon as my units come in through the gates, they all just start routing. They've been almost next to no fighting. They're all Trojans are routing, and Menelaos is chasing after them. Maybe you can see him. There he is. He's sort of, yeah, there he is. Ah, that's a good trick. He hit him with his shield. That was a great knock.
Menelaos!
Now there's some giants as well. So only Menelaos is here, and they're all routing. I mean, I have... Okay, Menelaos is flying through the air. I have Ares at the highest rank. You know, the worship of Ares, the cult of Ares. And so then my heroes cause dread or fear or something, and maybe that helps to make them rout. Okay, so here's Menelaos. He's routed the entire enemy garrison. So there was barely more resistance than in the night siege. A little bit harder during the day than during the night, but only marginally so. The disadvantage of playing at night is that you only have one army. You have to face the same enemy units. And another advantage you have fighting over the day here is Achilles. Another advantage you have fighting over the day battle is that all 4 heroes, or 3 heroes, however many you have, are going to get buffs after the battle. So the city is soon going to fall to us. And here are more Trojan units just routing. They have a lot of men. I mean, there was no unit that was full strength probably to start with, because of the attrition of the siege. They have a lot of men, but they're just routing. And there's nowhere for them to go and rally. Yeah, unlike in medieval 2 Total War. Maybe that was artificial, to rally. But then these battles are just, they just last a minute or something. It's a little bit sad to have a siege of Troy that basically, once you're inside, all the enemy units are routing. Like 40 units that all start routing because you've gone over the walls. To qualify this, I'm going to show you maybe an example. If you don't wait until the very, until like 10, 12 or whatever game turns into the siege, and you start the siege, you start your attack, a game turn or two after you start the siege, then the units inside have a lot higher morale. They don't rout so easily.
The men's spirit is broken.
The men's spirit is broken. All you hear is we're living while we can. The men's spirit is broken. You spend like, out of 20 minutes of a siege battle, you spend 15 minutes hearing this kind of thing. The men's spirit is broken. We're living while we can. And all the enemy units are beelining it for the red line, for the border. Whatever. We're leaving while we can. And there are some units retreating towards the citadel, interestingly, but not very many. And maybe they can rally there, I'm not sure. Maybe. But if they can rally, they very rarely has much of an effect.
Trained and ready.
So there's Achilles there, all fighting one unit. That's another thing that's strange. I don't think this happened in Medieval 2. You had like 10 units fighting one unit. There's only like 2 men in that unit, and you cannot kill them for some reason.
Combat ready.
But if you attack them with only 1 unit, not with 10, then you can kill them. That's a bit strange. Okay. So they're leaving the city and they're running for their lives out in the country. It's not unrealistic, but it makes battles very, very easy, whereas medieval 2 sieges were very challenging because the enemy would just go into the central plaza and they become unbreakable or keep rallying. I thought that was an interesting mechanic, made the battles more interesting, more challenging. I don't know if it's realistic necessarily, but definitely made the battles more challenging. Sieges. Okay, now various units are racing for the palace plaza. You have some giants running after some routed unit. There's also some funny visual effects, probably from Warhammer. And the giants and the other characters are oversized, a little bit strange. I mean, a little bit taller would have been okay, but sometimes a little too tall. So here's Menelaos, he's made it first, once again. He's made it to the palace plaza first. And there are some other units coming. But Menelaos won the race once again, ahead of Achilles and ahead of Demolion and his brother Agamemnon. Come on, people, you're too slow. He's encouraging them. They seem tired.
Don't underestimate the Trojans.
Don't underestimate the Trojans. They may be hiding. Where are they? They may be preparing a trap. They may be laying an ambush. And all these boar tusks helmets. I mean, they must have killed thousands of boars for all of them to have boar tusks helmets. There's a glorious view of Menelaos. There it is. Ah, glorious, 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 glorious. Oh, here's Timoleon. And we're missing Achilles and Agamemnon now. They are chasing people or whatever. I don't know what's going on. In fact, I'm not even sure that Agamemnon made it into the battle. He was a reinforcing army, but I don't think he took part in the battle for some reason. Never got to enter the battle. But Achilles is fighting. Where is Achilles? Yeah. Menelaos looks glorious. Ah, finally Achilles has made it. Just in time. Battle is over. Okay, so anyway, it wasn't so much to see battle-wise, but at least, you know, it was an opportunity for me to say how things work and what I think. So, 2 sieges of Troy in 1 episode. 2 different versions. The same siege, one with the Trojan Horse, one without it. Okay, this time I'm going to loot and occupy, and I accepted this as the final siege for my campaign. I'll continue from here. I had to clean up the various northern factions, Phrygians or whatever, and then Lycia at the bottom, but I'm not going to show you the campaign, just saying. Faction destroyed. So we'll leave the battle here. I hope it was interesting and instructive. Thank you for watching.